On the Day of the Covenant, the most sacred and mysterious achievement of the prophetic faith. According to the most ancient legends, this was a finely crafted golden chest, surpassing any work humanity had ever created before. He carried the 2 sacred stone tablets, inscribed with God's 10 commandments for mankind. With the power of the Most High, the Israelites used the Ark of the Covenant to cross the desert, seek the promised land and destroy all enemies in battle. However, that treasure vanished mysteriously, leaving behind a great enigma in the flow of history. Suddenly, at some point, the Ark of the Covenant vanished from sight, and all news of it faded into silence. Many believe it was destroyed when the Babylonian army attacked the Holy Land in 587 BC. Some others believe it is hidden in a mysterious cave in the Judean desert and has been sealed away for thousands of years. Some claim to have seen the Ark of the Covenant with their own eyes and say it is hidden in a church in Ethiopia. For centuries, the true location of the Ark of the Covenant has remained a mysterious topic, lacking scientific basis. However, everything will change from this moment on, as you and I together uncover the true location of the Ark of the Covenant. They were developed, designed, and crafted by Vietnamese artisans, with the aspiration to elevate Vietnamese products to a global level. Egypt, 3,500 years ago. In the land of the Dragon King, there are now not only his subjects, but also the people of Israel. They lived in Egypt but endured the life of slaves, suffering to the utmost. Nevertheless, they never lost their will, resiliently surviving, continuously growing, and becoming ever stronger. Seeing the number of slaves rising too quickly, the dragon fairy couldn't help but feel uneasy. The Israelites, already miserable, now face even fiercer persecution. Even newborn babies were not spared from the slaughter. Amidst that turbulent time, a boy named Moses was born. To protect her son, the mother placed the boy in a basket and set him adrift on the Nile, leaving the child's fate to chance. Heaven does not disappoint the diligent. The lucky boy was discovered by the Egyptian princess and brought into the royal palace here. Here, Moses absorbed the finest essence of Egypt at that time, becoming a man of profound knowledge and noble virtue. Time flies, and Moses has now turned 40. In a fit of anger, he accidentally killed an Egyptian and provoked the pharaoh's wrath. On the contrary, the Israeli community also boycotted him, viewing him as a traitor to his people. With no other choice left, Moses was forced to flee Egypt, returning to his homeland to start a family, raise children, and live the quiet life of a shepherd. And so it went on for the next 40 years. One day, as usual, Moses led his flock of goats up Mount Sinai to graze. Suddenly, he saw a flame flare up among the thorn bushes. Though the flames blazed, the thorn bush remained unburned. Moses was amazed. As Ben approached to take a closer look, he suddenly heard a voice calling out from the burning bush. That voice warned him not to approach immediately but to patiently wait longer. "If you come near, you must remove your shoes, for this is sacred and pure ground." As he approached the burning bush, Moses was utterly astonished to realize he was standing before God. He spoke to Moses about the covenant established with Abraham, the forefather of the Israelite nation. He will grant to the descendants of Abraham a fertile land, where milk and honey flow abundantly, the land of Canaan, a symbolic image of paradise. However, before receiving that reward, the people had to endure 400 years of hardship and exile in a foreign land. That is also why the Israelites in Egypt had to endure 400 years of slavery. God saw that the 400 years had been fulfilled, so he called Moses back to Egypt to meet Pharaoh and lead the Israelites to the promised land. At this moment, Moses was terrified, having fled from Ai-Cub for 40 years. Now, would returning to that place still be safe? But when he thought of his people, he resolved to set out in response to Ai-Cub's plea and fight for the freedom of the Israelites. Of course, Pharaoh not only refused to believe in God, but on the contrary, after the plea, he even oppressed the slaves more brutally to flaunt his power. Seeing this, God immediately punished Ai-Cub by unleashing 10 plagues upon him. Only then did Pharaoh agree to let Moses and his people go. And so, hundreds of thousands followed their leader toward Mount Sinai to express their gratitude to the Almighty, while seeking the promised land. However, things weren't that simple. Not long after the slaves had left, the plantation owner felt extremely frustrated because now there was no one left to do the work. So he left the military and joined the migrant caravan. The Israelites, led by Moses, reached the Red Sea but found their path blocked. Now, Pharaoh was being closely pursued by the enemy forces, with no way left to retreat. When all thought they would perish there, the Lord told Moses to raise his hand. The Red Sea immediately parted, opening a dry path through the waters. Moses led the people toward Mount Sinai. They wandered across the wildlands, where the scorching desert stretched endlessly. Though they waste food and water, they keep moving forward endlessly, never knowing when they will stop. Exhausted from hunger and thirst, some began to voice their complaints. Better to die in Egypt amid 10 plagues, at least there we had our fill of food. But then, once again, God reached out his hand to save them. When everyone complained that the water was too bitter, God made it sweeter. When they complained about having no meat to eat, suddenly large flocks of quails came flying in, covering the camp every night. Along with the quail, there was also manna, pure white like frost, delicately sweet and delicious, given by the hand of the Lord himself from heaven. 3 months later, the Israelites reached the foot of Mount Sinai. At this place, the Lord appeared in the midst of the sky and delivered the 10 commandments to the people. The important thing to remember is not to be careless in your poetry. Afterward, Moses went up the mountain to receive further commandments from God. He has been gone for about 40 days now. When he came down from the mountain, Moses carried the 2 stone tablets inscribed with the 10 commandments. God told him, "I returned home, made a wooden box fragrant with golden sawdust, and placed the 2 stone slabs inside. The ark must be overlaid with gold, both inside and out, and its 4 feet shall have gold rings attached for carrying. Place a dragon carved throne atop the coffin, so when I descend to meet the emperor, there will be a seat of honor. The 2 ceramic stool-shaped jars must have 2 winged angels placed on either side to guard them." Moses was shivering from the cold as he descended the mountain, but halfway down, he saw a group of Israelites bowing down before the golden calf as if worshipping it. Right now, Moses is extremely angry and yelling loudly, "God has bestowed upon you many blessings. Why did you turn your backs on Nan, a close friend, a beloved one, a kindred soul? So why did you turn your backs on him right before his very eyes? Doesn't the 10 commandments teach that you shall not worship idols? Besides, it's just an animal." He angrily threw 2 stones to the ground. Clearly, God is always patient with his people. After enduring some punishments, the Israelites were forgiven by God, and gave Moses 2 more stone tablets. This time, Moses was no longer angry. He calmly sat down and assembled the Ark of the Covenant exactly as God had instructed. A special tent was set up, called the Tabernacle, to house the Ark of the Covenant. The goldsmiths followed Aaron's instructions, became angry with Moses, and crafted the golden calf. The dimensions, materials, and machining details must be absolutely precise, with no errors, even the slightest. Today, the Ark of the Covenant measures 110 centimeters in length, 70 centimeters in height, and 70 centimeters in width. It is crafted from acacia wood and overlaid with gold both inside and out, ensuring both aesthetic appeal and ease of transport. However, beyond the 10 commandments of God, the Ark of the Covenant also held many supernatural and mysterious powers, far beyond the imagination of people at that time. The Ark of the Covenant may only be viewed from a distance, under no circumstances is it to be touched. An Israelite named Uzzah was struck dead when he touched the Ark of the Covenant. Many researchers, based on this information, have concluded that the Ark of the Covenant was actually an ancient type of capacitor. However, that may not be entirely accurate. The Ark of the Covenant is not just for generating electricity. The son of Aaron the priest, the brother of Moses, because he came too close to the Ark of the Covenant, a burst of fire nearly killed him. If the Ark of the Covenant was just a capacitor, then how do you explain that flame? According to Moses' records, it can be inferred that the Ark of the Covenant was the intermediary through which God manifested his presence and communicated with humanity. God commanded Moses to tell the people not to come near him, for fear they would be harmed by his divine power. When God wishes to appear, he sends a beam of light from the heavens. At that moment, not even Moses dares to approach. The most astonishing power of the Ark of the Covenant was revealed when the Israelites wielded it as a weapon of destruction. This is clearly demonstrated in the book of Joshua, when the Ark of the Covenant was used to bring down the walls of Jericho. When Moses died, Joshua, his successor, led the Israelites to the Jordan River. As soon as the priests carrying the Ark of the Covenant stepped into the water, the river stopped flowing. The waters parted to both sides, opening a wide path for the people to walk across. They crossed the Jordan River and entered the city of Jericho. The city of Jericho forbade strangers from entering, so God commanded the people to carry the Ark of the Covenant around the city instead of going straight in. Walk 1 round every day, continuously for 7 days. After 7 days, the Israelites sounded the trumpets and attacked. At that very moment, the city walls collapsed. The soldiers then charged straight in. From that time on, Joshua used the Ark of the Covenant as a sacred symbol, through which he achieved glorious victories in battles and advanced into the land of Canaan. The wartime Ark of the Covenant was like a terrifying force, far surpassing any weapon of its time. By the power of God, the Israelites often won most wars, but not always. Overconfident in their superweapon, they were defeated, allowing the Ark of the Covenant to fall into the hands of the Philistines and be taken to their capital, Ashdod. Looking back at the initial expectations, the chest not only failed to bring any power but also subjected the entire city to a strange epidemic. The priests then advised that the Ark of the Covenant should be returned to the Israelites, for it was a disaster upon them. 7 months later, the Philzu Covenant Ark had returned to Israel. However, the seizure of the Ark of the Covenant deeply wounded the faith of the Israelites. From then on, they no longer held the sacred Ark in the same regard as before. It wasn't until the time of King David, about 300 years after Moses, that the situation changed. In the 11th century BCE, King David brought the Ark of the Covenant to Jerusalem and established the Jewish kingdom of Israel. It can be said that King David was the greatest king in Jewish history. Even Christian believers take pride in claiming that Jesus is a descendant of this king. One of the most famous stories in the Bible tells of David, as a young boy, defeating the giant Goliath. After ascending the throne, King David felt uneasy and expressed his gratitude. He said it was not right for him to live in a magnificent palace while the place of worship for God remained a mere temporary tent. He wished to build a temple to enshrine King David's spear. David had prepared everything and went to meet the Lord before presenting the offering. Though the Lord agreed with his decision, he declared that it would be David's son who would build this temple. David obediently listened and quietly began the initial preparations, from selecting the temple's construction site to purchasing building materials. Later, the temple was actually built by King Solomon, the son of King David. The temple took a full 20 years to complete, with the roof alone requiring 7 years of construction. The temple, designed by King Solomon, was exceedingly magnificent, reflecting King David's devout reverence for God. The harmony doctrine was kept in a secret, windowless room deep within the heart of the building. This was the sanctuary, the sacred place where God communicated with humanity. When the priests entered the holy place, the temple was suddenly enveloped in a thick cloud, so dense that no one could see another's face. The reign of King Solomon is regarded as the most prosperous era of the Israelite kingdom. The economy, trade, politics, and culture all reached their peak of development. However, by 586 BC, the Kingdom of Israel had become a powerful nation. The ancient Kingdom of Israel grew into one of the most powerful realms of its time, and this very might cemented its legendary status in history. However, it was not until 586 BC that the Babylonian kingdom sent a large army to attack Jerusalem, destroying the Kingdom of Judah. In this war, the temple was consumed by the flames of destruction. Most of its precious artifacts were looted, leading many to believe that the peace treaty might also have been stolen during that time. However, strangely enough, among the spoils of war the Babylonians brought back to their homeland, the Ark of the Covenant was not mentioned. A precious relic like that, yet there's no record mentioning it. Perhaps it was lost even before the battle broke out, taking the peace treaty with it. With a sacred artifact like the Covenant of Harmony, there are bound to be countless debates surrounding it. However, we can present some well-founded prominent hypotheses while also examining the claims of organizations and individuals who assert they have found the Wahau Covenant. According to legend, before the Babylonians invaded, the prophet Jeremiah foresaw the theft of the Ark and hid it in a secret location. The ancient manuscripts all describe this as the place where Moses ascended the mountain and beheld the promised land bestowed by God. With such evidence, many believe he was alluding to Mount Nebo in Jordan. Because according to the Bible, this is the place where Moses saw the promised land, namely the Kenite region mentioned earlier. To better understand, you should know that Nebo is a land of profound significance to the Israelites according to the Bible. On the final leg of their journey toward Canaan, the Israelites stopped near Mount Nebo. Before his death, Moses was called by God to the top of the mountain. He said he would die here, his gaze fixed on Canaan, the promised land. Moses' prayer to see the promised land was granted. But you and the Israelites will not enter this land at this time. Although this is not entirely certain, the hypothesis is not without basis either. After burying the chest at the foot of the mountain along with other sacred treasures, Jeremiah used a large, readily available rock to block the entrance. Some of his followers tried to conceal the location of the Ark of the Covenant, but all were stopped in time. That place will forever remain an unnamed land amidst the barren desert. However, the difficulties could not stop archaeology enthusiasts from conducting explorations around Mount Nebo in hopes of finding sacred relics. A large crowd gathers here, searching for beautiful skies around the mountain. But no cave was found that could hold the Ark of the Covenant. And once again, the question arises as to whether the mentioned mountain is truly Mount Nebo or not. Mount Nebo, then the place where Moses saw God. As mentioned earlier, this is where Moses received the 10 Commandments from God. Unlike Mount Nebo, the location of Mount Sinai in the Bible remains a mystery to this day. After numerous surveys and studies, the most widely accepted conclusion identifies Mount Shinar mentioned in the Bible as Mount Yabin Moshe, located in the Shinar Peninsula, in the present-day Ikab region. However, this is merely a subjective opinion lacking factual basis, so it cannot adequately answer the question of Mount Shinar's actual existence. According to archaeologist Ryan Morrow's research, the biblical Mount Sinai is not only real but also located in Saudi Arabia, not the Sinai Peninsula, Egypt, as many people mistakenly believe. Ryan Morrow shares about some historical sites in Saudi Arabia that he had the opportunity to explore. Coinciding with the story of Moses in the documentary Finding the Mountain of Moses *, Mount Sinai is real and located in Saudi Arabia. In the Dan San newspaper, he stated that one of the main reasons scholars consider the Exodus story to be mythological is the lack or near absence of archaeological evidence supporting the biblical accounts at Egypt's Mount Sinai. But what if these scholars were mistaken? Come to the Arabian Peninsula, and you will discover compelling evidence that perfectly aligns with the descriptions in the Bible. Ryan Morrow asserts that the sacred mountain is actually located in a province within the northwestern region of Saudi Arabia, while emphasizing that his hypothesis has been supported by substantial empirical evidence. The Bible describes Mount Sinai as being like a fire, and researchers have discovered blackened mountain peaks in the Jabal al-Lawz range in Saudi Arabia. Not stopping there, even the story of Moses parting the Red Sea to escape the pursuit of the Egyptian army has found credible evidence. Scientists have determined that there was once a clear land route connecting Ikab and Saudi Arabia in the past. Ryan Morrow also confirmed that he had discovered the young rock, where Moses struck it with his staff, causing water to gush out in torrents, as described in the Bible, was also located in the same area. With a sacred treasure like Mdaw, countless differing opinions are bound to be discussed. However, the activities around this mountain went completely unnoticed. Therefore, there are still other possibilities that could occur. For example, Mdaw never expected that any mountain suspected to be the biblical Mount Sinai would be red. Some people believe that the Mdaw is secretly hidden beneath the desert sands. This is an extremely surprising opinion, as this location is rarely mentioned alongside the Mdaw treaty in ancient documents. So what makes people believe that the Judean desert is hiding the Mdaw? On a late day in 1946, as the sun began to rise over the Negev desert in southern Israel, the three Muck brothers were searching the hills near the Dead Sea for their lost goat. Suddenly, they discovered a strange row of trees. The boy Muhammad immediately threw a stone at it to see if anything unusual would happen. A loud crash rang out as the stone struck the ceramic jar containing the strange parchment scrolls inside. Perhaps at that time, you didn't expect these scrolls to be an important part of ancient religious texts. The Dead Sea Scrolls. The scientists conducted a survey and collected approximately 100,000 paper fragments from nearly 900 manuscripts in 11 storage boxes. To this day, people still keep finding new pieces of paper around this area. The majority of manuscripts were written on parchment, with only a small number recorded on papyrus, dating from the 3rd century BCE to the 1st century CE. The Dead Sea Scrolls are a collection of ancient texts written by the ancient Jews, using 3 languages: Hebrew, Aramaic, and Greek. Most of the scrolls had been torn into many pieces, with only a few remaining intact in their original form. However, over the years, experts have worked to piece together fragmented sections into complete manuscripts with varying degrees of decipherability. The scrolls are divided into 3 main categories: biblical, apocryphal, and sectarian. The biblical manuscripts record the entire text or individual sections of each book in the Old Testament. Later, the Gai II manuscripts revealed works previously known only through translations or entirely unknown. The Nguyen Kong is a collection of manuscripts belonging to the sect, encompassing various genres such as biblical commentaries, liturgical documents, and works from the Hai Huyan lineage. Archaeologists believe these precious texts were hidden by a mystical sect called SNS before they were attacked by the Mongol army. This passage resembles ancient texts documenting how the prophet Jeremiah hid the Ark of the Covenant just before the Babylonian army invaded. Just like a soybean pod hiding a sailor's corpse. Who knows if the Ark of the Covenant might be tucked inside one of the thousands of soybean pods across these Sambang Judean fields. Whether the Ark of the Covenant is hidden in Mount Sinai or the Judean desert, searching for it remains truly extremely difficult. No one has ever dared to undertake such a massive archaeological endeavor just to search for this celestial lotus relic. Meanwhile, in Africa, thousands of miles away from the Holy Land, an organization unexpectedly claimed to possess the Ark of the Covenant. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church claims to be the guardians of the Ark of the Covenant. It is said that this precious chest is currently kept in the treasury of the Church of the Virgin Mary. Similar chests are also preserved in many other churches throughout Ethiopia. The belief in the Ark of the Covenant originates from this nation's sacred chronicle known as the Kebra Nagast. According to legend, King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba, who belonged to the Ethiopian royal lineage, had a son named Menelik. Though born and raised in Jerusalem, as an adult, he was compelled to return to his mother's homeland. Followers secretly entered the temple and stole many of King Solomon. And of course, among them, the most precious treasure is the Ark of the Covenant. They replaced the chest with an incredibly sophisticated counterfeit, indistinguishable from the original. Menelik brought the real Ark back and placed it in the sacred city of Aksum. To this day, it remains there, guarded day and night by sentinels at the Church of Our Lady Mary of Zion. On January 17, 1991, British researcher Graham Hancock arrived in Assam. Fortunately, I encountered the guardian knight at that moment, and I hope to see the packed chest with my own eyes or gather some other valuable information. They altered the information and identities of the beast tamers. However, since this guardian monk did not wish to reveal the achievements inside the temple. Tomorrow night is the Lord's feast day for the people here. Rumor has it that the Ark of the Covenant will be paraded through the streets. Hancock attended the ceremony to witness the Ark of the Covenant with his own eyes. But he still insisted that the chest carried away that night was merely a replica. Because the beastly scholar still strictly guards the poet. That restored chest they're carrying over there clearly means nothing to him. Does the Ark of the Covenant truly exist within this church? That remains an unsolved mystery. However, the survey conducted by Hancock can be considered quite comprehensive. However, we cannot rule out the possibility that the chest still exists in the Holy Land of Jerusalem. In the 12th century, some scholars claim to know the exact location of the Ark of the Covenant. They say that when building the temple, King Solomon was warned by God. One day, the temple will be completely destroyed, even the most precious treasures within. To protect the Ark of the Covenant, he built an intricate underground tunnel system like a labyrinth. To let the chest rest deep within the holy ground. Thanks to being carefully protected and hidden, it fortunately survived the temple's collapse. But from then on, no one ever saw it again. Perhaps, it still lies deep underground to this very day. Is that really true? Around 1982, American explorer Ron Wyatt also made relentless efforts in his search for traces of the Ark of the Covenant. The first time Wyatt was discovered was from a stone altar, protruding from the cliffside in New Salem. It is believed that these are the ruins of the early period Dock Gate Church. It may have been built in the 1st century. Surely, the early devotees all recognized this as an extremely important location. Guiyoshi and his team were still tirelessly digging away. Finally, they discovered an ancient system of row houses. And discovered the Ark of the Covenant. It's truly sad that our explorer has been stricken with cancer. However, before his death, he had given an interview and shared about his important discovery. He said the incident occurred at 2 p.m. on January 6, 1982. He and his Ark of the Covenant found the long-buried Ark hidden within the ruins of ancient New Salem. Thus, he found his Covenant Ark. When he arrived here, his research team once shared their significant findings in an interview. This is over. My Covenant chest is now closed. That person found their Covenant chest buried in the historical records of Old New Salem. This is the place where Jesus suffered and was crucified on the cross. When the Babylonians began attacking the city of New Salem, the Ark of the Covenant was discovered while being transported through the city. Many tunnels remain intact to this day. The sacred Covenant Ark was hidden in a chamber deep underground. Then, it was sealed away and faded into oblivion. When the exploration team entered to inspect the cave, carefully observed the cracks on the ceiling of the underground room. A strange black liquid spilled out. The crack is right above the Ark of the Covenant. Ron Giad took that black sample to analyze its blood composition. The analysis results were truly astonishing, far exceeding all expectations. We all know that every cell in the human body contains 46 chromosomes. 23 words from father and 23 words from mother. In each set of 23 chromosomes, humans have 23 pairs of chromosomes, of which 22 pairs are autosomes and 1 pair determines sex. But in the strange fluid inside the Ark of the Covenant, the test detected 24 chromosomes in this blood sample. It's not 46 like a normal person. Among them, there are 22 pairs of autosomes. Here are the natural English translations for your Vietnamese text. This shows that the one who carries this bloodline has a mother but does not know who the father is, because the father had a chromosomal defect. And this remains an unsolved mystery to this day. Ron Wyatt spent his entire life searching for countless holy relics mentioned in the Bible. Among them, Noah's Ark is the most widely known story. So, you claim that divine intervention stopped you. Take any photo of the Ark of the Covenant or record a video to share with everyone. Giad's discovery left countless followers utterly astonished, and more faith in the good things ahead. But at the same time, he also faced skepticism from many quarters. They say he's a peddler of the sacred and the divine. No matter what, he still refused to reveal the exact location of the Ark of the Covenant. Therefore, being doubted is unavoidable. However, Giad likely anticipated this and was prepared to accept it. Through numerous studies, meticulous records, and careful analysis of passed-down stories, the true location of the Ark of the Covenant most accurately lies in the faith of every devout believer. Even if you may not believe in the results achieved, many people think differently than you. Therefore, always respect each person's beliefs. In short, there are still many questions surrounding the Ark of the Covenant, both regarding its authenticity and its true location. Among the suspicious locations, most of these locations are too vast, making surveying impractical. Currently, only the church in Ethiopia can verify this. In reality, getting the church to verify such achievements is nearly impossible, because it is a sacred symbol of spirit and inviolable faith. I truly believe that whether the Ark of the Covenant is found or not isn't all that important. For the faithful, the spiritual significance of an achievement far outweighs the pursuit of it. Without evidence, people's faith remains steadfast. They always listen to guidance to better themselves, thereby contributing to an ever-improving world. Do you think the Ark of the Covenant has truly vanished? If it still exists today, where could this sacred relic be hidden? Your answers and contributions will help make the video more valuable to the community. Today's video by Vu Trung Nguyen Thuy ends here. On behalf of the YouTube channel, Vu sincerely sends his greetings and looks forward to seeing everyone in the upcoming videos. Wishing everyone a warm day with family.